Hello, welcome to this week's How's the Market, Pensacola. Well, the crash has started. That's what I keep reading. The crash has started. The crash has started. It's because interest rates have gone up quite a bit since our last episode. Now, let me get a few things out of the way here first. I know that it's been about 4 or 5 weeks since I shot an episode. I shot the episode with Richard Schiff on it at the beginning as our 3-year anniversary. And then I actually did 2 things. One, there was a product I'm working on right now, so I kind of took some time off to do that. And 2, my wife graduated from Florida State University with her master's degree, so we went over, did that celebration, and then went on a small vacation. I know, during April and May, I went on a vacation, which is really weird for me. I usually do those in the fall when things slow up a little bit, but it was a celebration. So we took a little time off. I did get some emails and stuff, like people were like, where's the show? Where's the show? Where's the show? So I do appreciate people watching. I just took a little time off. We are back now, so we'll get back to doing this every week. But let's talk about what's happened since our last episode. What's happened is the Fed's raised rate a little bit. We have gotten a crazy market. If you've looked at the stock market, I read in the journal the other day, it said it's been the biggest slide in a long time. I know some of my stock portfolio has come down. I've actually continued acquiring some stocks at this pullback because I know that, at least in my opinion, the stocks that I'm holding are going to probably rise in the second half of the year. So I'm trying to acquire and lower my cost basis. But what's going on in the real estate market with this? With mortgage rates, like we were in the 3s, we blew through the 4s and are in the 5s now. Like on our way to the 6s. It honestly would not surprise me, going on record here in May of 2022, it would not surprise me if I saw 7s by the end of the year. It's just because of the hyperinflation, the way things are working right now. So how does that impact truly? What does that impact to the real estate market? Well, I'm going to put the slide up right here. Let's say that you were going to spend $2,200 a month, okay? Let's just use that as an example. As a buyer, and that's the type purchase price you want. You want to keep your payment between $2,100 and $2,200 a month. Well, when the rates were slightly under 4, you could afford up to about $400,000. You can see here that would have put a payment of about $2,087 a month, obviously within the price range you're wanting. You could even, when they jump to 5%, that still puts us right at $2,150, right? So that still puts us there. They get up to 6% and you can't afford that $400,000 house anymore because now you're at $2,400. You may qualify for that, but there's a huge difference between what you qualify for and what you can afford. Because it seems like banks will qualify you even higher than what you can afford. So I don't want you to be house rich and cash poor every month, struggling because you're in a nice place. All right. So if it gets up to 6, your same payment, you're having to drop down to $360,000. That's the purchase price. Now, what is the opposite end of that? As we're talking here again, May of 2022 in this area, you better not be looking at $360,000 houses. You better be looking at $340,000 houses, $335,000 listed houses, because it's going to take you up to $350,000 and $360,000 to get those listed at $340,000. I had this conversation with a buyer the other day. They were like, well, we qualify for $250,000, so here's this house at $250,000 and this house at $250,000, and they've been on the market for a day. I'm like, you're not going to get it at $250,000. I don't mind writing, I don't mind talking to you about it, but we're not going to get it. And I don't want you to come to our conversation with just frustration. And I think if you start looking at that, will this change? Maybe. I believe it will. I believe we'll kind of get back towards list price, but probably not until the end of summer. If I were to guess, that's probably going to normalize a little bit more towards Labor Day. I think we're buying right now, then you're going to have to spend over what the list price, or you're just not going to get it, and especially if you have financing, because there's still so much cash coming around the table. So, with that being said, I get the call all the time. Well, Shane, should I just wait? Should I just wait? Because you said after Labor Day I can pick it up at list price. Well, that list price is going to be higher after Labor Day, so I wouldn't. Because the people that paid over list have now become the new comparables. Those new comparables means the list is going to go higher. I've seen some statistics. I'll try and find them and put them in the notes to where a lot of people think we're going to still see 8-9% this year. We're not going to see double digits, but a lot of the economists are saying 8-9% appreciation this year, then slow up next year because we're seeing more properties hit the market, and we're seeing buyer demand. Listen to me carefully. We're seeing buyer demand diminish ever so slightly. And part of the reason is there's a fear group going around that things are overpriced. Things are absolutely overpriced. I seen a statistic the other day that said Pensacola was one of the top 10 overvalued areas in the country. Then they went off and rattled some statistics. Now, again, if you've watched this show at all, I have always said watch your headlines and read into what they're using. When someone's using statistics, they pretty much can make it say whatever they want it to say. So pay attention to that. They're like, well, the average house here sells $350,000 plus. The average income here, $55,000. So it's overvalued. Okay, hang on. You're talking about average houses, and I looked at where they brought that from, where they put the average house at. I think that's a little high. I think 350 is a little high. Why? Because there was some very high-end stuff that sold. I'll give you an example. If we sit here and said, and I could use this as an article, right? There's a house sold for $1. $1. And then there was a house sold for $2 million, right? What's the average in the area? $1 million? Is that really true? No. And I've seen some $4 and $5 and $6 million properties sell around here. So I know that average is getting pulled up by some of those higher ends. So watch that. I think that average is a little high. The other thing that's not taken into consideration is that a lot of people are moving here, either A, are retired. They don't need an income because they've already built up a retirement income. Or B, we have a lot of remote workers. I've met quite a few people moving here from Chicago because we've got 2 flights to O'Hare daily, direct flights. So what's that, 2.5 hours, 2-hour flight. But they can live at our beach, but yet they can still work with Chicago income. So I don't know that the $55,000 is the right income for our area. It might be for the local area, for the local jobs. But we're seeing a lot of transient stuff, a lot of remote stuff come here because let's face it, we're a beach town. It's great weather most of the time, as long as we're not dealing with hurricanes. And you can just have a laid back, but yet still get your New England pay or your West Coast pay. That's why there's a lot of people moving here. And of course, there's no state income tax and all that stuff. So all that being said, how is it impacting our local market? I think the buyer's demand is diminishing just slightly. This is kind of a long way around back to this. But if we had 20 people interested in your house and we've only got 18 now, you've still got a huge, huge buyer demand. So that demand has not gone anywhere near where it has to be for us to neutralize a market. It also, we are not going to be slowing down on appreciation anytime this year, in my opinion. Like I said, I think we're at 9% this year. That's what will wind up being in appreciation. And I think as you list stuff, you're going to have to go slightly over. Now, for my sellers, because I'm getting this call from a few people already. Hey, is it the peak? Should I be selling? I think that's one of the reasons we're starting to see a little more inventory. But I honestly think the more inventory is just your normal spring come on the market. School's about to get out. So you've got May, things are coming on the market so that they can sell in June, move June, July, be back in whatever school district or whatever school they want to be in August and September. So I think that's probably part of our uptick in inventory. If you watch me in November and December, I was talking about there's a seasonality low. Right now, I think there's a seasonality high. But I also think there are some people that are getting worried that there's a peak here and there may be a pullback. I don't see anything pointing to a pullback here. Nothing. Even with the economy going nuts. Everybody keeps talking about that R word, recession. Well, if you look at the last 5 recessions, 4 of them real estate went up. You heard me right. 4 of the last recessions, 4 of the last 5, real estate went up. It was just the last one, 2008, where real estate went down because real estate's what drove us into the recession. The last couple ones before that, though, real estate went up every time. There was one, it barely went up like 0.1, but it still went up. It didn't go down. So for the last 5, real estate went up. So I don't see us impacting prices to where they're going to come down here. I think they may stabilize. They may not appreciate as fast as they have the last couple of years. And I think that's true. And I think that's probably what a lot of these articles about, hey, we're overvalued. I don't think we are, because if you look at us compared to the rest of the state, are you kidding me? All right, well, that was a long thing about our national news. Let's get over to the numbers, which is what everybody wants to talk about here in Escambia and Santa Rosa County. Let's look at our 2 counties and see where we're at inventory-wise. Let's go. All right, already over 10 minutes before we even get started on this. For those of you who have not seen the show, but you're still here 10 minutes in, I always start with this slide right here. It says if you have between 6 and 7 months worth of inventory, you have what's called a neutral market. Anything greater than 7 months considered a buyer's market. Anything less than 6 months considered a seller's market. What the slide doesn't say, anything greater than 9 months considered a hyper buyer's market. Anything less than 3 considered a hyper seller's market. Let's jump over to Escambia County to begin with. Look at here. Looks like we've up. Last time I did the show, I said we were at 350. So we've added 60, 70 properties. 413 active total. The 550,000 mark to 600,000 mark looks like it's creeped out of the hyper sellers and is in just a sellers. And then there's this pocket of 650,000 to 700,000. That's 4.4 months. So that's the highest month's inventory I've seen in any price point in a while. So this little pocket, although there's only 16 properties, the demand's not quite as high, so it's still a seller's market. Would I change? Because everybody asks me, hey, this one's at 1.6, this one's at 3.3. Would I change my marketing strategy if I was a seller at that point? No, for those two I wouldn't. For 1.6 versus 4.4, are there some slight adjustments? You betcha. You betcha. There are some changes that need to happen there because you need to kind of stand out. Again, there's only 16 properties here, but you got to stand out in that. One of the things, again, I'm not real fond of is the first-time home buyers are still really, really, really low. 100,000 to 150,000 is under a month. Well, let's see, 100,000 to 350,000 is under a month, and up to 400,000 is only 1.1. So you still got huge demand. If you remember, see, I told you those headlines, right? This used to be 0.4 months. So could I go out there and try and write a clickbait article that says inventory between 100,000 and 150,000 in Escambia County doubles? Crash imminent. My preface is right. It went from 0.4 to 0.8 months. So it did double. Let's say it went from 10 houses to 20 houses. Am I right in that? Yeah, it did double. But does that mean that my conclusion of crash imminent is true? No. But I guarantee you there'd be a ton of people basing a lot of the fear that's going around in just the globe right now. I don't know if you guys can feel it, but boy, it's just, there's a lot of fear driven on a lot of different fronts. So that would be easy for me to get clickbaits. I guarantee you I would have people clicking to where I could start marketing and remarketing and retargeting, but I don't do that. All right, so watch your premises that jump to a certain conclusion. Let's jump over to Santa Rosa County. Hey, look, we were over 200. We were under 200 a few months ago. Now it's 257. So we added about 60 there. And that same pocket, 650,000 to 700,000, is out of a hyper sellers. It's into a sellers. Will we see this start to rotate? Am I going to start to see some more orange? Probably. Probably. And I don't think, we may see some yellow. We may start to see some yellow. Do I think I'm going to see a green or blue? Probably not. At least not through Labor Day. I know we're creeping up on Memorial Day here, but I don't think even through Labor Day we're going to see a green or a blue. We may pop up to a yellow. Somebody may get to 6 months. It may just be a weird fluke. This year, I just don't see it, though. I don't see it at all. So there's our numbers. I always end the show talking about our instant offer program. If you're still here with me, 14, 15 minutes in, basically our instant offer program is a chance for you to talk to us about getting an instant offer on your house, something to close in 10 days, right? 5, 10 days, whatever it takes for the title to close. I can come out there and tell you, okay, this group of investors that I work with, that I represent, can offer you this. If that works for you, we had some good success last year with some people that had to move in 10 days, right? So it worked for them. It gave them exactly what they were looking for, and we moved on. If not, you can take our offer, use it as a floor, try and come on the market, the MLS, and see if you can get higher. I'm always hesitant when I do this hand movement here because everybody says, okay, you're always going to get higher on the MLS. No, you're not. Not always. Not always. I have seen people get higher on the MLS. I have seen people get lower offers on the MLS. So it's a good chance to use this as a floor. So if everybody else comes in lower, well, then you know this was a good offer. If you can get higher and you've got the time, cool. But there's some people that don't want to do the repairs. They don't want to do. I mean, I talked with a couple 3 weeks ago, and it's an inherited property. I talked with another guy. He inherited the property years ago, did not realize it had settled as much as it did, but the front of the house and the back of the house was literally 4.5 inches off. So it was, doing this. Basically, it's not a sinkhole, but it had settled very, very low. And then when we started talking about remediating that, it was upwards of $70,000 to remediate it. So yeah, there's something he didn't want to deal with. So we worked out a deal and it made sense. So that instant offer program, there's a link below. Check it out. Again, it works out well for most people because I can offer you both. Most of your investors are only going to offer you this instant offer, and most of your realtors are only going to offer you to come on the market. They're not going to offer you. They're not going to put their own cash, their money where their mouth is, if that makes sense. I'm not bad-mouthing realtors. I got a lot of colleagues that work in this industry. They do really good jobs. All right, I tell people all the time. I got a text message from another agent because somebody called me and asked me a bunch of questions and then said, well, I have an agent that's already listed. What do you think about this marketing? And of course, as soon as they said that, I'm like, well, listen, I can't talk to you about the marketing program. If you've already listed with someone else, you have a contractual obligation with them. But then she told me who her realtor was. I'm like, you're in good hands. Go talk to them. You're fine. And so I get this text message from the realtor going, thank you for the kind words. Well, sure. I'm not bad-mouthing people out there, and I'm not trying to steal things away. I know there's a lot of realtors have joined our association here, and with the lack of inventory like you're seeing right here, some people are getting a little less scrupulous than they should be. I don't play that game. I just don't. Been doing it too long. No, I'm going to be doing it a lot longer, so here we are. All right, that's our numbers. Again, sorry for the longevity between episodes, but I had to go take some mental health time on top of some of the stuff I'm working on. So thanks for watching. Talk to you later. I'm a man on a mission. My mission is to help people break through all the noise out there and don't need no permission. I want to help you get to actual truth. Don't you just want the truth?